Glad you're here.
We ride together, we die together. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
That's trouble, man.
So are we hot all the time?
Yeah, pretty much. When I mute this, they told me when I mute mine, we're both mute.
Troy either.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the STIHL Timbersports World Championships here in beautiful Prague, Czech Republic, and welcome into the Industrial Palace in Prague. Wow, what a night this should be. We are going to crown a new individual world champion in timber sports here tonight. My name is Troy Mannering, and I will be bringing you the entire show live. And joining me for expert commentary from an experience standpoint is none other than Canadian Sterling Hart. Welcome.
Yeah, it wouldn't be color commentary without the redhead, right? Good to be back, crowd of 2,000 plus strong. I think they're ready for a party.
Yeah, this thing's been sold out for several months in a row now, and they've been really proud. I mean, this building is incredible. The Industrial Palace is a beautiful location. It is loud as can be in here, and the fans are going bananas, and we are going to see some epic competition here. Now, there's been a few changes from last year's competition format in Liverpool to this year. I'm really excited to talk about those, but before that, we're going to hear from the guys on stage, and we're going to get an introduction of some important individuals down there.
Very warm welcome to the STIHL Timbersports World Championship 2019, day number 2.
Síla, dynamika, energie, ale hlavně obrovská touha. To bude platit pro všechny, kteří se tady postaví. A bude to platit také pro českého reprezentanta. Pojďte mu poprvé ukázat, že jste společně s ním poprvé v České republice na mistrovství světa STIHL Timbersports 2019.
Miro and Marcus will be your hosts for tonight, and we've got an expert coming up. This man has been an athlete for 25 years, single buck world record holder for over a decade, and his analysis is legendary. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only
You're the champion is nothing compared to what I'm feeling right now being on this stage in front of this crowd here in Prague. I just want to thank you for having me. I'll be doing the commentary analysis today. You'll hear my voice if I can drown these two gentlemen out. Thanks for having me. Super Dave Jewett.
Well, Dave, just before we go to translation, yesterday we talked about the atmosphere, and you've seen so many competitions. How does it feel to be here in Prague?
It's unbelievable. You know, we're all champions when we're training in our backyard. You know, we cut the blocks perfect, and we're like, I'm going to rock it. But if you can rock it here on the stage, you truly have proven that you're the world champion.
Dámy a pánové, tohle je Dave Jewett, 25 let ve STIHL Timbersportsu, bude dělat analýzu, bude také mluvit se sportovci. Je to muž, který má na svém kontě mnoho světových rekordů. Mým parťákem je pak Markus Fott, ten, který tady bude společně se mnou. Já se jmenuji Miroslav Lenz a je mi obrovským potěšením, že společně utvoříme atmosféru, na kterou se rozhodně nezapomene, a budeme chtít, aby to potvrdili úplně všichni. Markus, go for.
It's time for the officials, ladies and gentlemen. They are very, very important for this competition. So please give it up for our judge, Andy Hall from the United Kingdom.
All right, as we've just seen our stage hosts Marcus Lot and Miroslav Lenic, along with our event expert Dave Jewett, and now we are going to introduce some very important individuals coming out onto the stage now. The judges, Andy Hall just rolled out onto the stage. He'll be one of the on-stage judges, along with Bart Janssen, who is coming out right now. Bart also a key individual when it comes to providing the wood for these events as well, isn't that right?
The wood master, yeah. This competition is usually deemed it has some of the finest quality timber that you've seen anywhere in a competition in the world. Bart Janssen puts months and months of preparation into it, and we might even see a few more world records go down this year.
Yeah, well, that would be interesting. And of course, we've got those two guys that are going to be our on-stage judges, but there's a lot more people behind the scenes. We, of course, have the competition control center, what you're looking at right there on screen. Now here, they have high-speed cameras set up all over the stage to make sure that you guys that are competing are keeping it fair. And we see Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger and STIHL Janssen. I have trouble saying that name every single time. I hope I said it right.
Yeah, the old CCC there is very instrumental. You see a lot of races come down to hundredths of a second and possible disqualifications as well. That's what it's there for, as you see our fan favorite global sports director, Spike Milton, come to the stage.
Fan favorite. I've sat in a cabin a few times with him doing commentary. He is a lot of fun. Nice to see him in a position where he can really blossom and help the sport of timber sports really grow as well.
Looking quite slim this year as well.
Yes, he's taken off a few pounds.
Well, I think he's gained a misses as well. That might be the home cooking and maybe a few tightening of the belt loops.
Proper food and so on and so forth. Yeah, good for him.
Please cheer and shout and watch the big screens.
So now we get to introduce our athletes to you out there. Now, a few years ago in Austria at the Champions Trophy in the Junior World Championship, Braden Myers showed up and everyone was just blown away by how quickly he worked the axe on the underhand chop, and just a fantastic speed that he has on that particular discipline. And since then, everybody else has had to play catch-up to Braden in this case.
Yeah, and just 24 years of age. I believe he's still our current world record holder in the underhand chop at 12.39. And if anybody's going to beat that record today, it's probably only going to be Braden Myers.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We've seen a lot of guys coming up through the ranks that have taken that style of Braden Myers with the really quick axe swing and brought it to the next level. We just see Koen Martens from Belgium coming onto the stage here. He's a man with a lot of experience, and of course, you know this guy, Ben Cumberland from Team Canada.
Captain Canada.
Captain Canada.
The big dog. We're expecting big things out of Ben Cumberland this year.
Ben Cumberland.
Cool as a cucumber. He's here, he's just enjoying it. You know, I've never seen somebody for their first time on an individual world stage just be able to soak it all in and truly enjoy the event. I'm super excited to see what Ben puts on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy that we really had a lot of fun watching in Marseille at the Champions Trophy a couple of years back is this man, Pierre Puibaret from France. A guy that looks so serious all the time, but actually has a bit of a funny bone.
Yeah, he's a great guy, perennial French champion. And, you know, he's got the experience to really do some damage, especially in that format that we've got going this year for the World Championships.
Now, that format we'll talk about a little bit later on after we've made all these introductions. There's a lot of stuff going on this year, a few changes, but, yeah, it's going to make things a lot more interesting. Representing Great Britain now, coming out is Elgin Pugh.
Yeah, Elgin Pugh is also many times Great Britain champion.
Please welcome Elgin
Yeah, we saw a lot of good stuff from him in Liverpool. He had a ton of support in Liverpool last year as well in 2018. So nice to see him back in the mix here at the World Championship.
9. na mistrovství světa z roku 2017 a bude chtít rozhodně ještě víc. To je Brit, kterému teď patří vaše pozornost.
All right, another athlete coming in from Germany, Danny Marr. He'll be joining us on stage as well.
Now you talk about somebody that's had a chance to earn their way here. Danny Marr has been second or third in that German championship so many times. I don't think words can explain how happy he is to finally get his shot at a world title.
Yeah, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Well, this time he's going to be up there wearing that big white dress and battling on behalf of Germany as he has made it to the World Championship.
Now here might be a name that not a lot of people know in the New Zealand STIHL TIMBERSPORTS World Stage, but Shane Jordan,
yeah,
one of the favorites to take the whole thing.
And they battled hard in the team championship last night, and boy, I was really impressed at New Zealand. Some new faces there for me, and Shane Jordan was one of them. Like unbelievable speed by all of the boys out there, and it was nice to have some of those new faces, and Shane will be representing New Zealand this year.
Yeah, Shane's got a lot of experience. He's cut for his home country of New Zealand on the international stage, overseas, everywhere for upwards of 10 to 15 years, so he has the experience. You know the nerves aren't going to get to him, but it's just a matter of what everybody else does.
All right, last night in the team competition, we saw Poland surprise a lot of people. Every single time that they hit was under a minute. They were unbelievable, and representing Team Poland and the Polish side this year is Michał Dubicki, a big boy, a strong competitor. Let's see how he'll do with that push that they had last night. In 4th place overall in the team competition, they got to be satisfied with that, with the way they performed.
Yeah, you know, when you look at everybody else on stage here, and they're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage against Michael, because Michael was actually not born on this planet. It's something about the planet Krypton or along those lines, the half man, half amazing. You'll see him go straight through a block with about as much penetration as the rest of us can get with some slope. One of the most amazing physical specimens I've ever seen, and one of the nicest guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next coming out representing Switzerland. He's got plenty of fans in the audience as well. Christoph Geisler. He is he's a granddaddy caddy out there. He's been around this sport for a long, long time.
And like everything else that's come out of Switzerland along with the watches, the man knows what he's doing, and he's perfect in every aspect. Predictable, reliable. You know, he doesn't have the blistering times, but he's always going to be right there if you make a mistake.
Yeah, he is not one to mess around with, and you know if he's on your back, you got to be careful. All right. One of those guys coming out of the junior ranks who has been absolutely incredible the last few years, coming up through all of those competitions to finally make it to the World Championship stage. From Sweden, Ferry Swan.
Yeah, it's really exciting, you know. You've got Ben Cumberland, Ferry Swan. You've got some guys that actually won the Rookie World Championship, and now you've seen them battle their way through their national championships to make it to this world stage. So it's great to see the sport keep moving forward in that aspect.
One of the best haircuts at the competition this weekend.
Whoa,
and
whoa,
also
whoa,
a guy.
whoa.
Sorry.
You seen this thing?
Yeah, I've seen it. I won't say anything more. But Cassidy Shear, I mean, this guy is full of confidence, and he says he's here to win. He wants to win, and he absolutely has the confidence to win. The question is, a lot of people are talking about his skill level. Is it there with the rest of these world-class athletes?
Yeah, business in the front, party in the back for Cassidy Shear. But Cassidy, one of the smartest athletes I have ever met in my life. He has analyzed every single aspect of this competition. A lot of people come in, they train to chop wood, they train to saw wood. Cassidy trained to win this competition. You know, he's only been in that US series for 2 years. It took him 2 years to win. He took down 6-time defending champion Matt Koger, so he's not to be counted out.
All right, so the local hero representing the Czech Republic, Martin Rusal.
And you know what, Martin Rusal, you know, it might be different to a lot of people to see somebody up here other than Martin Komarek, the first Czech athlete to finally dethrone Martin Komarek. So, you know, he's got some big shoes to fill, but anybody that can take down Komarek must have the tools to get the job done.
And Komarek has nothing to prove. He is a legend in the sport here, absolutely beloved by the fans. And Martin Rusal is going to, like you say, have some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, you know, Martin Roussel, I've trained with him, watched him compete many times coming overseas, and he's right there in every single event. None of these athletes on stage got here by accident.
Absolutely
You cannot fluke out and get here. He earned his spot.
And there he is coming into the arena. Massive ovation from the audience here.
Yeah, if you're not here live, the hairs on my arm just stood up as he entered this stadium at 2,000 strong. These are some of the most enthusiastic fans I've seen in years. They love this sport. They love their hometown athlete, Martin Roussel, and it's going to be really exciting to watch this competition go forward with their hometown athlete having a good chance to possibly take home a title.
Absolutely. So that is our 12th athlete coming up onto the stage. Our starting order we'll tell you all about shortly, as we will also give you the breakdown of how this competition is going to go through. There'll be 3 rounds leading to the final, which is, of course, a fan favorite for everybody, but maybe not a favorite for some of the athletes, and that's the hot saw. And I remember you telling me you had a love-hate relationship with the motor saws for a while, but then
it's just a hate now. Yeah, we're not really talking much anymore.
Yeah. But it's interesting because that love-hate relationship for some has become, you know, an interesting dynamic when it comes to competing here, as that's very often the deciding event.
If I look out there right now, I know for a fact that about 3, 4, 5 of those athletes are here because the previous champion made a mistake in the hot saw, and that allowed them to leapfrog in. And so there you see the change in the system, bringing forward new athletes, fresh blood, and that's what we also love to see. And it's a different competition. You come here to win this competition, and that's it. And that's what these guys have done. They specialize. They've come here to take home a world title.
Well, it's all about the battle, and we are going to join those battles shortly. And now they're going to head back, get themselves prepared.
So ladies and gentlemen, please watch. Just so you know what's happening, here comes
STIHL Timbersports individual competition. In the first round, all 12 athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The athletes who achieve the fastest times receive the most points. The 4 athletes with the lowest score after the first round are eliminated. In the second round, there are more points on offer, with the remaining 8 athletes take on the single buck and springboard. 6 athletes with the highest points after these disciplines qualify for the last round. In the final round, the athletes compete in the hot saw, where there are 18 points available, everything still to play for. The athlete with the most points after all 6 rounds is crowned the Timbersports Individual World Champion.
up next on your big screens, all information about tool and discipline.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It is custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it is about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you can shave with it.
In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut with an axe through a 32 centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, here we go. The Individual World Championship 2019 here in Prague in the Czech Republic at the Industrial Palace begins now with our first heat in the first round, and that is the underhand chop, which you just heard about, with Martin Roussel representing the Czech Republic going up against Koen Martens from Belgium. And of course, Martin Roussel is going to have the hometown and advantage because of the fans in here, just giving him that much extra energy.
Yeah, and we're about to see an amazing race. Both of these athletes actually have identical personal best times at 25 seconds. So it's great that we're going to see the hometown hero come up first, and we're also going to see a great race. We're going to get this crowd fired up. And what it's also going to do is allow the other athletes to see the consistency of the timber. So they're going to make a decision on how they're going to chop it as well.
And you can hear that crowd in the background screaming as they see Martin go up on stage. He will be wearing the white jersey, stage left on stand 1 or stand A, depending on what school you come from. And on stage right, that is stand B, or stand 2 is Belgium's Koen Martens. Now, Koen Martens, based on the times here, it's really like hundredths of a second difference, but Koen Martens has just about 8 hundredths of a second faster times on the underhand chop. Let's see if Martin Roussel can pick up the pace here today. Here we go.
Okay, gentlemen, athletes ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good start for Martin Roussel. Martin Koen's got a little bit of a hookup on his axe. It's going to be interesting to see. Roussel so far has been clean on each of his hits, slapping those out nicely. Oh, Roussel steps down, or Martin Koen steps down, and he has a little bit of trouble. Looks like this one's definitely going to go to Roussel. Let's see what that time looks like for these guys. A quick hookup for Roussel, and the last blow should do it for him with a pretty nice time of 24:44. Martin Koen Martens, excuse me, gets it in 25:29. Now the times that you see on the board up there on the main stage are only unofficial times until we get the final call from the judges, but that was a good heat by Martin Roussel and a great start for him today.
Yeah, we're just having the judges look over there. Now these athletes can be disqualified in a couple of ways. If they do jump the gun, there will be a flag and a 15-second penalty as well. Those footholds that you see on top of the block, if they happen to cut into one of those, another 15-second penalty. You saw some solid cuts, both 25 seconds, exactly what we expected, but a couple of miscues by each athlete. So we'll see how that happens when everything shakes down.
Both cuts are good.
All right, so both cuts qualify, and these guys have a personal best on Martin Roussel's side. That's very good for him.
It is, but both of those guys should have come off about 4 to 5 seconds earlier almost. You'll see Martin Roussel here has a very quick cadence, and the axe did not stick in the block, which was good. Both athletes put a 10-hit front in that log before turning around. So you saw him turn around nearly identical time. Now, on Martin Roussel's side in the white jersey here, when you see him turn around, you see him hit inside his marks on there. Now, where that's going to play a big factor is when he goes to drive that off, the block did not meet perfectly in the middle with his hits, and that's why you saw it take him 3 to 4 more hits to come off. As well, you saw the miscue by Koen Martens with a step off the log, also cost him a second. So very tough being the first athlete out of the gate.
Yeah, that's a hard one as well, because they've got to set everybody up with the way the logs are working, as you mentioned. And yeah, I mean, great job by both of these gentlemen to get us ready to go. And while we were talking, the stage crew has already gotten those new logs up there. It's always amazing to me how quickly they get that stuff done and taken care of.
Yeah, the NASCAR crew at Timbersports getting the job done in a hurry as we see Sweden and Germany about to take the stage for the next heat of the underhand.
Yeah, coming up next, we're going to see Sweden's Sverre Svan, who is very strong in this particular discipline, and Danny Marr joining him on stage.
Yeah, Sverre Svan and Danny Marr both consider this their strongest event. You know, but again, we see nearly identical personal best times at 23:70 for Sverre Svan and a 23:66 for Danny Marr. Now the wood, fairly consistent, but it's not just falling apart. You saw these athletes have a little bit of a tough time getting those final fibers. So we'll see what these two athletes do to approach this underhand.
Couple of practice swings there by Germany's Danny Marr as he gets ready and makes sure that he has everything physically and mentally lined up. A lot of muscle memory here playing a role, as well as that mental preparation. All right, here we go.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Quick start by Ferry Swan. Wow, he is really fast. He's pacing quickly. Danny Marr taking those big, strong hits, but Ferry Swan moving over to the other side very fast. Big slabs coming off that block. It should be a good time for Ferry Swan here. He gets stuck. Oh, 2 times. Oh, he steps down. Big problems there as he gets it finally off. Nice time for Ferry Swan. We don't have it stopped yet, though. I don't know why the clock didn't stop for Ferry Swan. Quick check by Andy Hall on the block to make sure everything is okay. I don't see a thumbs up, but I also don't see a flag on the play. But the time is still running now on our screens here. I don't know what's happened here.
I did see it come off. Ferry Swan came off in about 19 seconds, which is nearly 4.5 to 5 seconds quicker than his personal best. So he's got to be happy with that. He had the pace. Unfortunately, he stepped off the block, but he was still able to recover, and he'll probably take the lead, providing any no flags on the play.
All right, this has the time has finally stopped here. 19.28, and both cuts are good, as we hear from the judge there, Andy Hall. So 19.28 seconds, just ahead of Martin Roussel, who is sitting in second at the moment with 24.20. Both of those guys with personal best, and a breath of relief by Ferry Swan there, or just before, actually, as he gets ready to go, calming himself, perhaps.
And not just ahead of him, 5 seconds ahead of Martin Roussel. So there you see the miscues by Martin. And maybe that played to Ferry's advantage. He was able to see the technique that Martin Roussel took and make adjustments accordingly. You saw the pace of Ferry Swan. He knew the wood was a little bit firmer, and he's not necessarily a power athlete, but he's placing that axe perfectly in the wood each time, and he kept the pace going. A couple of miss hits, and you'll see here, he gets a little excited thinking it was going to come off there, but a little bit of wood hung in the center of that block, so that cost him 1 extra blow. We'll see if that plays a factor down the road.
Just a toenail holding those 2 pieces of wood together, but he had it done in pretty good time, actually, and had he been a bit more efficient, as you say, with his hits, he might have had even a better time, maybe down around the 19 or 18 and change mark.
And I don't consider myself a psychic by any means, but I predict we may see the personal best time fall in this next heat.
I hope so. All right, coming onto the stage now, Elgin Pugh from Great Britain going up against New Zealand's Shane Jordan. Now, we saw Shane Jordan having a really good team competition yesterday. He was more or less responsible for the standing block chop, which he was solid on yesterday. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they switched around quite a lot, tactically speaking. Elgin Pugh, he's a power hitter. He also has good accuracy with the experience he has.
Now, you see Shane's personal best here at 19.9 seconds. I'm not sure where that comes from. I predict Shane to cut this closer to 14 to 15 seconds.
Wow.
I don't have any money, so I'm not betting, because that has been going a little sideways for me as well, but predict the new possible winner in this event.
Athletes, ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good pace by Shane Jordan. Elgin Pugh keeping also pretty good pace. Is it just me? I was just going to say, is it just me, or is he going a little bit deeper on that back pocket as Elgin Pugh now flips over to the other side, and Shane Jordan's already over there. It looks like Shane Jordan's struggling to find that block and break it. Oh, how close was that? A 22.51 to a 22.02. Very, very tight heat there. And yeah, that's your money gone out the window there.
Definitely. Now, I started with no money and I leave with no money. But there you see that is one of the things in timber sports. The wood that we chop, everything is done to keep these blocks consistent. All the blocks for this event came out of one tree. That's about as even as we can get it. But the athletes do draw for blocks at the meeting in the morning. The blocks at the top of that tree are going to be softer than the blocks at the bottom of that tree. Now, looking at how those just cut there, I would nearly say that Elgin had the one at the top. You saw the chips exploding out of there. Shane possibly had the butt log.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
And it is, like you say, a lottery for who gets what logs. And yeah.
But that's a very, very tough thing for an athlete of Shane's caliber to start off with an underhand cut like that, because he is much more capable than that time would prove to be. As we see in the replay here, you see the chips exploding out of Elgin's block. We look over at Shane's, and he's hitting that thing with everything he's got. One of the best underhand cutters in the world, but it just wasn't doing anything. Now, that could be the block, or it could have been the choice of axe as well. You saw no chips come out on that hit. So we'll have to have a talk with him later and find out just what happened.
It was a little deep on that blow as well, and it seemed like he got down farther in the block than he wanted to. It was a real close heat between these two guys, actually, and Elgin Pugh holding his own. But I was surprised after you said he should cut a 14-15 second, and they're up around the 20-22 mark. So, you know, Shane Jordan currently sitting in second place with Elgin Pugh in third. And
but you know, we've only had 3 heats go so far.
Yeah.
And him to sit second at this point, you know, we've got Ben and Michael Dubicki coming up. Christoph Geisler, Cassidy Shear.
Yeah.
2 consistent guys we're about to see coming up. I wouldn't expect any blazing times, but possible new leaders.
Well, you did mention that Cassidy Shear has taken 2 years to get to this position here, and I was talking to a few of the American team guys, and they were all like, wow, this guy is amazing. So we're expecting big things from Cassidy Shear, but he's going up against a legend in Christoph Geisler as they both come onto the stage. Christoph Geisler from Switzerland on the stage left as you see him preparing his axe and getting his first few practice swings in. Cassidy Shear there with that party in the back, business in the front, and he's going to be all about the business here. But he seems pretty relaxed all in all, giving the camera the old winky eyebrows as they were introducing everybody. He's very confident.
I'll give you a little background on Cassidy right after we watch this event take place.
Ready.
All right, here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, huge hookup by Cassidy Shear, giving a big advantage.
Look at the chips flying out of Cassidy Shear's block. He's drawn another good one. If he can get under 20 seconds, he's going to give himself an awesome chance going forward here.
And he's already moved over to the other side, but Christoph Geisler moved right there with him. Christoph Geisler,
he's off.
Massive hits there. And that is a great time of 18:58, moves into the lead, but Christoph Geisler with a 21:06 unofficially sitting now in third place. So Cassidy Shear in the lead. Barry Swan moves down into second place, and Christoph Geisler sneaks in between Shane Jordan and Barry Swan in third place.
It looks like no flags on the play, but Cassidy Shear actually took the exact same route to Timber Sports as I did. He was actually a speed climber before he got into this, climbing the big tall poles, but just a natural athlete, and he's applied that to get to where he is today.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
And we saw that axe get hooked up really big time on that first blow. Imagine, had that not happened for him, he might have been a second to 2 seconds faster.
Yeah, he's guaranteed himself no worse than 6th place. So that is a good start for him, but as we see the slow motion replay here, as we see the flow, as Cassidy Shear comes down, a lot of power in that first hit, but having a big hang up like that, he possibly just wasted 1 to 2 seconds right there. But what that also does, it throws off your rhythm going forward and just makes it a little bit difficult to get going. We saw him put 9 to 10 hits in the front and get around. He did have the block to get the win, but he would have liked to have seen that time a little bit closer to maybe 16, 17 seconds. It's what he was capable of.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting and a nice start for Cassidy Shear, even with that big hookup. Great job by him, and as well by Christoph Geisler, the legend, still playing and still definitely relative, but I think maybe that Minnesota hockey hair is helping out Cassidy Shear a little bit like Samson.
Yeah, as you see Cassidy's mom there, Tina Shear, on auntie actually. But you see Cassidy's dad on the left, Fred Shear, both actually legends in logger sports back in America. You want to see a show, though. You're about to watch one.
All right, well, we're going to go down to Dave Jewett, who's going to analyze this back-to-back, side-by-side. All right, thank you to Dave Jewett for taking care of that side-by-side analysis. You'll be hearing from him regularly throughout the evening. And that's a new tool that we're using here at the STIHL Timbersports World Championship Series. so that we can really see what athletes compare to each other as far as time. Now, coming onto the stage, we've got Poland's Mikkel Dubicki on stand number 2 over there. Big boy, plenty of power, and we saw Team Poland yesterday were absolutely fantastic. And then we've got Ben Cumberland. I mean, he's a teammate of yours. You can talk more about Ben Cumberland, but from what I saw yesterday, he is going to be a solid competitor in this discipline.
Yeah, we got Captain Canada taking on the Polish Punisher here. Now, Ben is one of the most technically sound axemen that I've actually ever seen. A beautiful technique. Michael Dubicki, head down, and he just goes for it.
He's all power.
He will have the quickest cadence you'll see of any athlete here today.
Athletes ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, a little delay by Mikkel Dubicki to get started. And wow, Ben just going at it. Nice pace, Vicky.
9 hits in the front.
Oh, wow.
Ben is going for it. A good turn. He's reaching nice and low. He's got a bit of work to do, but he's going for the drive. He's going to have it. He's got it.
Oh, my goodness, in a time of 15:99. That's a personal best and the fastest time so far. Fantastic. Mikkel Dubicki, he's got a 20.70, so he slips down into 4th place. Good showing by Ben Cumberland, though. Fantastic at 15.99.
That was amazing. Ben just cut to his full potential. He's going to be happy with that. Now, our Canadian champion this year was actually his brother, Nathan Cumberland. But Nathan had, for personal reasons, decided not to come, handed off to the reins to the reserve champion, Ben Cumberland. So you know Nathan and the rest of the family is at home watching him, as proud as ever.
Good job.
Yeah.
Hey, you should have bet there, hey?
Oh, man.
Okay, congratulations. Both guns are good.
All right, so big congratulations to Ben Cumberland. At the moment, with 2 athletes still to go in this first round, he has a good, solid chance to stay out there in the lead. But we got Braden Meyer coming up in the next heat. Let's analyze
the replay here. Now, Michael Dubicki had a bit of an issue. He went to start a little bit early. That threw off his rhythm, but Ben Cumberland, technically perfect as you watch him reach to the bottom of those fibers. A beautiful cut, 9 hits in the front, had a perfectly technical turn. He got around, no sticks in the front, and that's what he's looking for, is to not throw off his rhythm. As you see Ben make the turn here, going around to the back, and not a stick on the first hit either, which you'll see a lot of athletes do. As they turn around, they're going to be a little bit off balance. And you see Ben here, you know he's cut this block 100 times in his head, and when it comes off, just as you envisioned it, that's a happy camper right there.
And interestingly enough, he looked over at Mikkel Dubicki's time screen, and it was at 17, and he was still happy with that. When he turned around and looked at his at 15, he was like, oh my God, yes. So a great job by Ben Cumberland. And now our next 2 competitors come out onto the stage. And the one guy that I'm really impressed by is Braden Meyer, who I haven't seen anybody really hammer an underhand chop quite like Braden Meyer since I saw him at the Champions Trophy in Austria a few years ago, and this kid is just incredible.
The last time we saw Braden Myers on the individual world championship stage, which is Poland, back in 2015, he actually did break that world record, the new time currently standing at 12.39 seconds. I don't know if we quite have the wood for that to happen again, but he's still riding off the high of Australia's gold medal run yesterday in the team, where he did cut the underhand. And he was instrumental in bringing home that gold for the team, as he has been every single year. So if we're going to see a world record, it's that man on stand B that's going to give it to us.
All right, Pierre Pouy-Barret on stand A in the blue. Let's go.
Athletes ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, watch the pace that he uses. Oh my God.
8 hits in the front.
Unbelievable.
He's around at the 7-second mark. He's going for it. It's Braden Myers going for the drive, looking for the win.
On the ground. 14.47 takes over the top spot. Unofficially, Pierre Pouy-Barret just over 23 now. Struggling to get those final blows going down here. Oh, Pierre having a lot of trouble. One last hit will do it for him. Unfortunate time for Pierre, 31 seconds, as he is dead last at this point in time. Oh man, but Braden Meyer, you said it was like a 7-hit one side, and that is unbelievable, moving around to the other side so quickly.
Yeah, and that was just a run-of-the-mill, nothing special cut for Braden Myers. He knew he just had to go out, and he just had to get the job done. He didn't have to go out and try and break any records. He was going for the points, and that's what he's done.
Okay, congratulations.
Both guns are good.
And Braden gets a face full of industrial smoke down there as the cannons go off to celebrate an absolutely amazing, I mean, just look at this here.
The man woke up with his Vegemite sandwiches this morning. You see him put 8 hits in the front, the least of any of our athletes, but he had done the work on the front. He was ready to go around the back. He did not rush that. And then around to the back, you saw him just go in and finish the job that he had started. As you see the Mo rippling under the extreme muscular pressure he is applying to that axe. Technically sound, one of the best, if not the best underhand cutters in the world. You just got to watch in action right there.
You're killing me over here, Sterling. It's amazing.
You know where you just keep talking yourself into a hole, but you don't know how to get out? I just get myself a bigger shovel, digging, I keep on digging.
Axe and shovel in this case. All right, great job by Braden Meyer. Drop down the time is official now at 14.25. Ben Cumberland in second place with a 15.72. Cassidy Shear with an 18.28, and Ferry Swan with a 19.28. And those are the 4 guys that are currently under the 20-second mark here as we've gone through the first heat here. And we see where the guys are placing. Now, there's 12 athletes in the first round here. They'll go through underhand chop, stock saw, and standing block chop. And each one of these guys will get, according to their position, the number of points where they're standing. So right now, Braden Meyer has 12 points, Ben Cumberland 11, Cassidy Shear 10, Ferry Swan 9, so on and so forth. And again, we're going to take a side-by-side analysis, this time going down to Super Dave Jewett to guide us through that analysis on this side-by-side.
Well, obviously, he's got the Mo and he's ready to go. So
it is Movember after all.
You're darn right. Now, as we were reminded at the beginning of our broadcast, after our first 3 events, being the underhand, the stocks on the standing block, we will say goodbye to 4 of our athletes. Correct, right?
Right.
So they're going to want to try and get every single point.
M stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 HP, has a displacement of 91.1 cc and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional steel technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition.
STIHL stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut off 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within the 10cm mark. One downward and one upward. The try is valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marking.
This is a troubling one for some people because, as they mentioned here in the guide to this particular discipline, you have to cut off these 2 discs inside the markings. So if you make a mistake here by cutting outside the markings, then you could be disqualified, and that means no points.
Yeah, we call this event the equalizer in the sport because these athletes, all it comes down to is the operator. The blocks are evenly matched, the saws are evenly matched, they've been tuned backstage, put on the tachometer to make sure they're the exact same saw. 2 brand new chains on STIHL 661s. So it comes down to how technically sound these guys are, and if they let the nerves get the best of them. This is one event guys tend to really technically overthink. They tend to get a little over-analytical of how they do it instead of just picking up the saw, making 2 cuts, which was always my approach. You might not win the world title at this event, but we've definitely seen a lot of athletes lose one. And this one's going to be a very, very important one for our athletes on the bubble.
As our judges are marking those lines, it's very important that they be even. They've got special guides to make sure that they are marked all the way around. Our first 2 athletes, Ben Cumberland will be coming up this time. He is on stand number 2, and he's going to be going up against Shane Jordan from New Zealand. And I like the fact that they're bringing this one a little bit closer to the audience. You know, those gas heads in the audience are going to like that, the noise being right there in front of them.
Yeah, now what these athletes get is 10 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken, to make 2 cuts, 1 down, 1 up. So when they do hear the judges count down that starting cadence of stand to your timber, on go, they're going to reach down with the saw running. They're going to pick that saw up, make 1 cut down and 1 cut up. Now, it's not just how they run the saw through the wood. It's also that transition time is where you're going to see a lot of athletes and the cream rise to the top of the
Well, you don't want to have that saw drop out too far to reposition and get it going back up through the block.
Not at all. It's such a technical event. So we're going to see what happens here.
Oh, the other thing, too, is that you need to not have too much pressure on the saw. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you put too much pressure down, you could stall the chain. That's a problem. If you don't put enough pressure on, you're not cutting as efficiently as you could.
And it's where both these athletes might be at a disadvantage. With the crowd noise in here, it does make it harder to hear the engine and keep that saw running down or not. As we get ready for our first heat.
To your timber. 3, 2,
Pay attention,
1,
folks. This is
go.
quick, and here we go.
Current world record is 9.9 seconds. Let's see if we can get either of those athletes close to this. At the 5-second mark, both our athletes make a transition. Shane looks slightly in the lead.
Personal best for Shane Jordan at 10:70, and Ben Cumberland with a 11:33. I misread that. Both good times. So we have our first 2 guys out here in that stock saw now. Our judges check everything thoroughly to make sure that the cuts are good, and it looks like a nod from Bart Janssen says that his cuts are good, and Andy Hall, it appears as his cuts are good as well, so we should have a fair one.
That's all you can hope for in this event is 2 good cuts and see where everybody else falls.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
And Shane really needed those points out. Shane was actually the only one that had a little bit of a disappointing cut in the underhand for himself. You saw him fall back a few places, so he needed to have a stellar cut. As we see a good shot of the captain, Ben Cumberland, here getting into the wood nice and smooth. And you see the relaxed look on his face. That's why he is such a dangerous weapon in this event. He's so cool under pressure, you know, and you're going to really see that play a key factor as we move forward in this competition. As we get a good shot here, the transition. They want to keep that saw out of the wood a minimal amount of time. But what is also important to notice is we say thin to win this event. The thinner the disc, the quicker the cut. So Shane taking a little bit of a thick disc on that upcut. We'll see if that plays a factor as we get a few more athletes coming to the stage.
Now, thin to win is, if you explain that a little bit more detail, it's talking about there's not as much wood pressing in on the chain as it rotates through the block of wood, correct?
Exactly. The thinner the disc, we say, the faster the cut's going to be because there's less compression holding that chain in there, and the chips are able to release a little bit nicer as you hear a little bit about the science that actually goes into this sport. They're not just out here running chainsaws and chopping wood. A lot more goes into that than you would expect.
It's all about endurance and power, of course, in a lot of cases, but not just the endurance and power, your accuracy and your headspace plays a huge role. All right, up next we've got Australia's Braden Meyer, who we just saw destroy the underhand chop, and he is going up against Poland's Michał Dubicki.
Yeah, now I know Braden Meyer, he does not have a weak event coming in here, so it's going to be up to him to see where he settles here. Now, Michał Dubicki, a little bit of an unknown. If I'm not mistaken, it's his first time as an individual athlete on this world stage, so I haven't seen much of him running the stock saw, but you know, as long as his biceps don't get caught on his chin going by, he might be in for an okay run. You know, muscles dripping off his earlobes, the human wrecking ball.
His earlobes could run the saw.
Yeah.
Also very important to notice that these athletes will place their hands atop the log. Both hands need to be in contact with that log before they can go down, and they cannot leave that log before the go. If they do,
Okay,
they get disqualified.
Warm up your swords.
As well, these athletes are looking for 2 complete discs. If they do happen to cut out on an up or a down cut, they are allowed to go back and place another disc in, but it has to be within that 10 centimeters of wood as we get ready for our second heat.
And that's also going to destroy your time if you have to recut a disc.
Stand
Here we go.
to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wow, Michał Dubicki on it fast. Good pressure.
And even in the wood, Braden Meyer just a tiny bit ahead of Michael at this point, but look at the thin disc of Michael.
Oh, yes. Great time by Braden Meyer, 10:61. A little bit of an angle by Michał Dubicki, but it looks like he's still inside that 10 centimeters. And that time kept counting. I don't know what happened there, but Michał Dubicki with an 11:74.
Now, we see no flags on the play, but Michael Dubicki had a very thin disc. So what I'm guessing has happened is he was a little bit scared that that saw might actually cut out. So I bet you he was trying to force it back inside, which will...
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Well, that's good news for both of those guys. Both cuts are good. And at the moment, Braden Meyer is in the lead with 24 points as we look at the overall standing. Ben Cumberland right behind him with 21 points. And Mikko Dubicki, even being in 4th place so far in this discipline, is sitting in 3rd place with 17 points.
Yeah, as we see dead even starts by both our athletes, but a difference on the angle of the saw. As you see Braden Meyer change the angle of that saw as he gets prepared. He starts with the angle upwards. That's so he can get that saw into the wood and throw in sawdust as quickly as possible. Then you'll see him actually change the angle of the saw at the bottom to prepare for that upcut. So you see the saw pointing downwards now, so he can apply even pressure all the way up. You see him take a little peek over there at Michael Dubicki. That's the first thing you want to know is, did I at least beat the other guy on
How's
stage?
he doing over there?
And
is the
look
question.
good.
Yeah, it looked good. So Braden Meyer with a 10.48. Shane Jordan with a 10.59. Braden Meyer again quick after the readjustment. And so far we've got 4 personal bests for our stock saw here.
Yeah, so the wood's doing the job. Wood boss there, Bart Jansen, you see on side B, is our head judge providing the timber for this event. Poplar, I believe it comes from Belgium. I could just be making that up.
Nope, it's true. It's from Belgium.
Perfect.
You did well on that one.
As we see the hometown hero coming to the stage, taking on Sweden's Ferry Swan.
Ferry Swan, not sure about him in this particular discipline, but watching Martin Roussel practice this earlier, he looked very, very strong. And of course, he's going to have that advantage of the hometown crowd on his side. The question here now is, that adrenaline starts getting pumping and you get a little bit shaky, and that can cause problems. So you have to control that as well.
Well, we're saying advantage of the hometown crowd, but it's not necessarily an advantage. If you've got all your family and friends in your hometown nation watching you, that's an extreme amount of pressure. So we'll see if he has what it takes to stifle those nerves and get the job done coming up here shortly.
Ferry Swan standing there stoically waiting to start his saw. It looks like he's meditating.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saws.
These athletes warming up those 6.6 ones, and now there's even an art to this. You know, you want to walk that. These saws are actually electronically controlled in the carburetor, so it's all about how you warm it up, getting ready. You see, Martin Roussel actually putting that saw on the deck. A little bit of a gamble, so we'll see if that's going to play a factor here. As you see that saw dancing around.
1, go.
But first into the wood, Ferry Swan is nice.
Super thin.
Can he hold it together? He does. Dead even at this point, though.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
Down to the upside.
Martin Roussel's going to take it.
Oh!
11.26 to 11.28. How close was that? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow.
Now, this is one of those ones you're going to see get chucked down to the CCC there. The boys in the video review booth, they're going to take a nice close look at that. After the judges check out the cuts, it looks like both are good. No flags in the play. But they're going to go back to the video replay there, the CCC, to get these stock saw times exactly right.
Yep, and it looks like they've already adjused Martin Roussel to 11.12 and Ferry Swan to 11.11. So great cuts by those two guys. They move into 3rd and 4th place. Ferry Swan in 3rd. Martin Roussel in 4th place right now. And wow, I mean, that was a really great cut. Ferry Swan's first cut, as you say, thin to win. It was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. As we get a look at there, an extremely thin disc, but sometimes you can hesitate in your mind thinking, did I get enough wood in there? And he did. Beautiful transition. You know, as we look back at them guys, both making beautiful upcuts. And this crowd was on fire when those discs came off at the same time. You couldn't call that with a naked eye, but that's why they had those video replays. Yeah. Now you see the times, 11.11 for Ferry Swan, and only 100th of a second behind him was Martin Roussel at 11.12. 100th of a second difference, but that 1 point can mean the difference between moving on.
It's 9 and 10 points home. in your pocket. So just fantastic. And we're going to go back down to Dave Hewitt as we're going to do another heat analysis. All right, loading up our next heat. We've got Cassidy Shear in the mix going up against Elgin Pugh. Oh, excuse me. I think I've jumped the gun here. It's going to be Pierre Puibaret against Danny Marr. And I've lost my sheets, but
we just get so excited.
It's so excited,
crowd noise, and so much is going on.
There they are. I'd already set up my sheets beforehand, and I took them away.
Where are we?
Welcome to 1972.
Has anybody seen my baseball?
Pierre Puibaret this time on the opposite side of where he was earlier on the underhand chop. Danny Marr right down below us here on stand number 1.
And you're going to see a little bit of contrasting styles here. Danny Marr was actually coached by, I believe, it was a former
world record holder,
Dirk Brown.
Yeah.
He knows to be technically
good sound.
Pierre Puibaret, one of our taller athletes. And you're actually going to see him take a little bit of a different stance. You're going to see him get down right down low and get his head and hands as close as he can to that saw to get that saw in the wood, throwing chips as quickly as possible.
Athletes ready. Stand to
All right, here
timber.
we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Danny Marr, Pierre Puibaret. Wow, good thin start for Pierre Puibaret. I can't see Danny Marr's, but he's quick through. Pierre, I think, had the transition a bit faster, but on the upstroke, it looks like Danny Marr. Another very close one. Look at that. 11:36 to 11:42.
Unofficially, they're giving it to Danny Marr, but again, those times are going to have to go getting tossed back to the to Jules back there in the CCC, and we're going to get some official times coming in just a minute after the judges take a look. Beautiful cuts.
Really beautiful cuts. Danny Marr looking great there, and obviously that help from Dirk Braun, who is taking care of the broadcast analysis on another channel, is going to be happy with the way that went down.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Plenty of French fans in the audience as well, as Danny Marr slips into 7th place, now has 10 points. He's tied with Cassidy Shear, but Cassidy Shear has not cut his stock saw yet, so that's coming up next.
Now, as we see the replay here, both athletes into the wood. Danny Marr, maybe a couple hundredths of a second in there, but Pierre Puibaret was able to make up the difference with that thin disc on the way down. But where I saw the difference from my perspective, Pierre Puibaret was a little bit slow at the start of his upcut. Now, because there's less wood at the bottom of that cut, you can actually apply a little bit more pressure at the top and the bottom. But when you get in here, that crowd noise, the world stage, sometimes it's a little bit hard to process minute things like that. And that may have been where we saw the difference, and Danny Marr was able to pull 7/100ths of a second ahead for that one extra point.
Oh, that was really close. Tough to call, as you say, with the naked eye, but just a fantastic heat between these two.
Yeah, beautiful races we've seen thus far. Well, now we've got Cassidy Shear and Elgin Pugh about to take the stage. No DQs so far.
Yeah, actually, that's really quite surprising. It's been a testament to how accurate these guys are training as well in the offseason.
All right. Shear's cheering section there in the background. He's going to be looking to put forward. He's going to have to pick up a couple of points here if he wants to going into some of the further rounds. And the same with Elgin Pugh, you know. The standing block, not necessarily his strongest event, that being the next event, the last one before we eliminate some athletes. So Elgin's really going to be wanting to take home some stock saw points here.
But I think this is a strong event for Elgin Pugh as well.
Yeah, Elgin Pugh with a personal best at 10.6. Now that would slide him into 3rd place at the moment. So if he's going to have to cut a personal best if he's hoping for a win in this next event. Now you see the technician that Cassidy Shear is. He comes up with a tape, chalk. Everything's measured down to the centimeter.
All of your souls.
Yeah, you see the two differences. Cassidy Shear has broken everything down. He's basically moneyballed this stock saw. He knows the numbers and what he needs to do. Elgin Pugh running on natural adrenaline, pick that saw up and get the job done.
Athletes ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good start by Elgin Pugh. His is a bit thicker on disc-wise than Cassidy Shear, but they both drop at roughly the same time. The upstroke goes looking good for Cassidy Shear, as he's going to win this one with a time of 11:73, and Pugh has an 11:76. How close is that?
It's
We've
close.
Had really close heats in this stock.
They are not going to be happy with those times, though. That drops both of them down. Both of them a second and a half off the pace. That puts them down to 9th and 10th place with still one more heat to go. So although they were clean cuts, not the times that they were looking for going forward. So we'll see if that's going to be an issue.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Again, these are head-to-head heats. We should mention that it's about winning the heats, but it's also about the fastest time, and it's the times that count for the amount of points that these guys will get. Fastest times get the higher points as we look back at the replay.
And I did get a little bit excited. I said they were in 9th and 10th place respectively, but after the CCC has updated those times, Cassidy Shear actually bumped up into 8th place, Elgin Pugh back at 10th. So that's why we have those replay officials in the back, is to get this right. You know, Cassidy Shear, a little bit of a snarl there, maybe not quite what he wanted, but
yeah, you know, and then with those points here, Cassidy Shear is sitting right now in 5th place in the overall standings after 2 events, with 2 guys still to come here.
As we look into our last heat, 2 of the top athletes in the world in this event. From Switzerland and Belgium, Christoph Geisler and Koen Martens. I would not be surprised to see a winning time here. They're going to have to best Braden Meyer's time of 10.48. But we'll see if we can do it.
Braden Meyer representing Australia this year, and it's a little bit unfortunate that Lawrence O'Toole doesn't get a chance to come back and defend his title, but you were telling me earlier that it's sometimes just a small technical glitch on those hot saws that make the big difference, and Braden Meyer was the better man in this case because of that.
It is, and in countries, you know, a lot of us, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, nearly every country in the world, a lot of times it's actually much more difficult to win your national championship. The quality and the athletes, the woodchoppers that come out of Australia and New Zealand,
unbelievable,
sensational. Like, you look at the times from those series, incredible. Your one hit or one stick will drop you back 3 or 4 places, and those are points that are just hard to make up in this system. As we look to our last heat here. Now, both of these athletes, their personal bests, Christoph Geisler with a 10.29 and Koen Martens with a 10.39. If they were able to run their personal best, or even better, or close to it, that would get either one of them a win. Let's see if they can get it done.
All right, last heat in the stock saw with one more round to go, one more event to go in this round 1. Let's see where Koen Martens and Christoph Geisler place. A couple of strong stock sawyers.
And this is a tough one. You're sitting there waiting, hearing your heartbeat in your ears.
Timber.
2 really different styles as far as starting as well. Koen Martens, very upright.
Christoph quick to the wood.
Yeah, very good, and thin as well.
He knows he needs the points in this. The fastest through the first block that we've seen thus far. We might have our winner on stand B if he can keep it up.
Oh, 10.96.
Not quite.
10.96, and I think they might even drop that down to 10.94.
Unofficially, that's got Christoph in 3rd place, and Koen Martens with a very disappointing
13.15.
Unofficially at this point.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch the replay and see what happened, but he's not going to be happy with that. Now, I know that Koen Martens of Belgium, you saw on stand A there, was struggling with a little bit of an injury. I was talking to him last night during the team competition. A bit of a strain to his supraspinatus in his shoulder.
Okay, congratulations.
That's a lot of technical speak. He hurt his shoulder blade, right? All right, Koen Martens with a 13.08 after adjustment and a 10.79. It stays that way for Christoph Geisler. So Christoph sitting in 3rd place at the moment in the stock saw results, and that puts him in 4th place overall, shifting Shane Jordan and Cassidy Shear down to 5th and 6th places overall.
And that's going to be absolutely huge going forward. Braden Meyer with wins in the first 2 events. And Braden Meyer taking home a first in the stock saw should strike a lot of fear into a lot of people's hearts, you know, because that's an event where they're supposed to make up time on him. You know, he's a favorite to win all 3 chopping events. His hot saws come a long way. He has the potential to break a springboard world record as well. I mean, hopefully not, you know. Some of us would like to not see that be broken, but, you know, they're going to have to start making up some ground on him somewhere. So we'll see what happens at the event. You see the disappointment on Koen Martens. They're not quite what he was looking for, but it ain't over till it's over. So we got some athletes on the bubble at the moment. Danny Marr, Elgin Pierre Pouberet, and Koen Martens sitting in 9th through 12th respectively. What we call our bubble athletes, as you see the rankings on stage there. So those guys are going to have to make some stuff happen in this standing block if they're going to want to move forward into the 2nd round. Now, we'll just mention it as well, too. When we do move to that 2nd round, the points will be doubled. So with our 8 athletes, 1st place will now be getting 16 points. Second place will be getting 14, 12, and so on, as we see our live rankings updated there with Braden Meyer in first place.
And we saw Cassidy Shear dropping down along with Mikko Debicki, Elgin Pugh, and Cohen Martins dropping down as well.
Now, that's not good for those athletes. That's where they needed to make up those points, because the guys that you see in that top half, all very, very strong standing block cutters. So, you know,
there's position, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are also going to be eliminated, as you were just mentioning.
Exactly. So they're going to have to make some magic happen.
We found him. Spike Milton, Global Sports Director. Spike, quick history. You were an arborist, then you started to become a wood chopper, so you know about logs. Talk about what's most important procuring these racing logs.
Okay, the biggest thing for us with this Premier Timber is to get it consistent so it's fair for everybody, Dave. That's the key. Sometimes it can be fast, sometimes it can be medium, but it's got to be the same for everybody.
And consistency means not only having logs from the same trees that grow next to each other, but also having them wrapped to control the moisture.
Absolutely. It's all in a controlled environment. Every log that is cut is actually registered. It's peeled to a set size. Then we have the draw. Everything is perfectly matched.
And of course, if competitors think logs are uneven, they let you know. Let's take a look at a video.
Hi, my name's Spike Milton, Global Sports Director for STIHL Timbersports. I'd like to deal with the topic premium wood. And now I'd like to show you where our premium wood comes from and how we source the premium wood for our chopping and sawing disciplines.
Here we are on a poplar tree plantation in Belgium, where we pick our premium competition wood.
I just measured the tree with a register graph. We can measure with this tool how hard or how soft the wood is and are there nuts in it. This tree looks very good, so I decided this plantation can work for us for the next season.
Now, in the yard of Bart Janssen, the tree trunks are examined for knots and defects, then cut into the required lengths, and then finished on the peeler. From this point on, the blocks leave Bart Janssen's yard and are distributed to all international and most national steel timber sports competitions, thereafter guaranteeing fair competitions to each athlete.
Our block has made it all the way from Belgium to our competition.
Stand to your timber.
Ja, jag har varit nöjd med virke ända fram till sista.
It's a fantastic wood. A pretty good piece of wood. Det håller sehr gut ist.
Yeah, you know, I put the one up, I put the one down, I put the two up, and I was like, yeah.
I put the one up, I put the two down, and I was like, yeah, that's got to be my favorite line of all time.
You're darn right. You want to see somebody bring the coals, you wait till Ben Cumberland hits the stage. Ooh, boy, as we see our first heat of the standing block about to take the stage right now. Ferry Spawn on stand A, taking on the hometown hero, Martin Roussel, over on stand B.
And again, Roussel has that, if you say disadvantage, I say advantage of the hometown crowd and the hometown pressure. I think he's handling it quite well, actually, all things considered, you know.
Pressure can either crush a man, or pressure can also create diamonds. So we're going to see what comes out of this heat.
Okay, gentlemen, athletes ready. Stand to your timber.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Roussel got a little hook up there. That's 2 hookups for him. Barry Swan looking very good though, but Martin Roussel going deep on that first side. Barry Swan moving to the other side now, and Martin Roussel again hooking up that axe. Maybe that pressure is getting to him. Barry Swan. Oh! And Martin Roussel, I think that's the personal best for both of them, with a 21-3-0 for Barry Swan and a 18-7-0 for Martin Roussel, and the crowd here just drowned us out.
Personal best from both of those athletes. Martin Roussel needed a blistering cut, and he did it. I don't see any flags on the ground. He's going to be happy with that cut. It is a little bit of a start jump from our hometown hero. He knows he came out, he delivered with his hometown crowd. You see the fist pump.
I think he's creating diamonds over there. Good job by Martin Roussel.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so it's confirmed Barry Swan, Martin Roussel, both cuts are good with a great time. And, I mean, that's a personal best for both these gentlemen. We're seeing some personal best drop here. Very nice to see as we look back at the replay.
Yeah, no, we saw Barry Swan probably go for what I'm going to think was an 8-hit front. Martin Roussel going 2 up and 2 down, looking for a 10-hit front. So he was planning to do a little bit more work in the front. Now, you know, in events like this, sometimes it does pay to do all the hard work on the front. Boy, very, very close to not getting that block off, but
yeah, he knocked it off with power.
He knew he needed a blistering cut. He went for the gamble. The gamble paid off, and that might be enough to push him on to the next round.
All right, the next 2 athletes coming out on stage will be Elgin Pugh and Danny Marr. Elgin Pugh has been in the mix for a long time. He just hasn't quite gone over the edge yet. And hopefully we could see a good event discipline here in the standing block chop as Danny Marr gives them a handshake as they head up onto the main stage.
Yeah, now both these athletes in the axe disciplines, solid. You'll see them always put forth a good time. You'll never see any glaring mistakes from them, but typically you don't ever see any blistering fast times from them as well. You know that they're playing the long game in this sport. They're waiting for you to make the mistake. So, you know, we'll see if that's going to pay off here or not.
All right, well, Danny Marr, best time for him on single or standing block is a 22:51. Meanwhile, Elgin Pugh's best time is a 23:55. Let's see if we're going to have some improvements here as Elgin Pugh is on stand B on the far side, or stage right. Danny Marr is on stage left.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
1 up, 1 down. You're seeing both these athletes go at the same front that Barry Swan put in, either an 8 or a 9 hit. Well, a bit of a couple of mishits for Elgin Pugh. That's going to be tough for him going around the back.
Yeah, and Elgin Pugh moves around pretty much the same time as Danny Marr. It looks like Danny Marr's slabbing out a little bit more than Elgin is, but Elgin coming close to finishing that log off. It's going to be real close as Danny Marr's struggling to get those final hits, but he does it in a time of 24:76. Elgin Pugh with a 25:87.
Now, as we were saying, both those athletes are down the bottom half of our bottom half of the pack right now. So they both went for the risky cut. You know, they played the gamble, but the gamble didn't pay off for him. You see their axes sticking, them not blocked, not coming off where they wanted. Elgin Pugh having a few mishits on the front, and Danny Marr, I don't know if we'll be able to see it on the video, but he actually had a big chip when he turned to the back after his 1 up and his 1 down. The chip actually hung there, and it got in the way of his 3rd hit. And what that does is it really throws off your rhythm. Do I hit it out of the way? Do I try and drive through it? Which is always a big risk, as the axe can actually glance off it. So that also might have affected him a little
We don't
bit.
want any glancing axes here. We've seen that already happen.
Both cuts are good.
All right, so far no disqualifications, and by this time in the qualification, or this time in the round, first round in the past, we've seen at least 2 or 3 happen. So again, it's a testament to how these guys have been training in the offseason, I'm pretty sure.
Throwing a perfect game so far. As you see Elgin Pugh, and if I recall, it was on one of these down hits, probably this one here. You'll actually see him a little bit of a straight in hit, and then that one too low. 1 too high, 1 too low. Now you'll see Danny, a chip does not even come out. And there's that hanging chip that I was talking about. So you see a bit of a miss hit. Now what he should have done was come up again in that near before he started driving. There's just too much wood there. It's a bit of a harder block. Now, all these blocks are consistent. Everybody's getting the same consistency. but it's who's going to put forth the proper cut, who's got the experience to know what to do with it.
And again, that last blow was just as much power he could throw into there just to kind of break that block off the top, more or less.
Far out, Danny Mars says. You see the disgruntled employee not real happy with his cut. Good camera work.
That's what he said, far out, exactly.
I'm a lip reader.
Stage is set for our next heat coming up, and that's going to be Pierre Pouy-Barré and Koen Martens. France going up against Belgium. Bit of a pause here as we get our RoboCam taking a cruise around our athletes. Pierre Pouy-Barré on stage side number 1 and Koen Martens on stage side number 2, stand 1 and 2.
Now both of these athletes coming off stock saw cuts, they would have liked to have seen a little bit better as we see both of these guys down around the bottom half as well. So,
sorry, I was just going to ask you to explain the two-axe theory here.
So
differently cut axes?
They're allowed to bring 2 on stage. Now, why they bring 2 on stage is in case something happens to one. Maybe it breaks, the handle cracks. You know, they see something once they get on stage. So, you know, you want to be prepared for anything that could happen.
All right, here we go.
Athletes, ready.
Pierre Pouy-Barré, Koen.
To your timber.
Martens.
3, 2, 1, go.
Big stick by Pierre Pouy-Barré. Koen Martens keeping that flow going nicely. But Pierre getting in deep on the backside there with the power he's got. Both of them moving over to the other side. Koen Martens just ahead of Pouy-Barré, but I think Pouy-Barré might have the better cut on the first side, as it looks like he's going to go for it. Oh, and a nice time by Pierre Pouy-Barré. That's a personal best with an 18.92, and Koen Martens has to take one final little hit to get it down in a 22.89.
Yeah, unofficially with an 18.92 for Pierre Pouy-Barré and a 22.89 Koen Martens. We'll see how those settle afterwards, but that sticks Pierre in second at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good time for Pierre as well, and a personal best, and that helps him move up in the ranking in this discipline.
Yeah, I believe Pierre cut through his potential there. He's got to be happy with that cut. The standing, not necessarily his strongest event, but when you see the block from here, he put forth a beautiful cut. You know, he took a little bit more out of the front, which was a good game plan, and it paid off for him in the back, as we'll get the judge call from Andy here.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
There it is, 18.59 for Pierre Pouy-Barré, a personal best. Koen Martens would like to have a couple of seconds off of that with a 23.85.
As you see, Koen Martens give a little extra wave to the crowd there. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be the last we'll see of him on the stage today.
18.54 is his best time, actually, so he'll definitely be disappointed with the way that one cut.
Yeah, you know, he went for the gamble on here, put a little bit of a shortcut in the front. Probably didn't reach out as much as he could. The adrenaline got to him there. No sticks, though, which is the good thing, as you see him go 2 up and 2 down to the back as we get a good look here. Pierre Pouy-Barré, who drove his block off perfectly. 2 down, you're going to see him go for it. You see that block crack? You know
he knew it right there. You could see the eyes go plate size as he had that last blow to drop it off the top. Nicely done by Pierre Pouy-Barré from France. All right, the next heat coming up will be Michal Dubicki from Poland going up against Canada's Ben Cumberland.
Yeah, now this is going to be a heat to watch. Yeah, an unfortunate little hang up there for Koen Martens. One of those fibers just hanging on. But he gives us the wave, a good show of sportsmanship there. He's happy to be here, and he put forth the best effort he had today. And again, we're seeing Captain Canada taking on the Polish Punisher here. You're going to see two very, very different styles here on this stage. Ben Cumberland, the captain, the technician, going to put you actually Team Canada standing block cutter. Michal Dubicki, also the standing putt cutter. Holy moly, those weren't words. Standing block cutter for Poland, but Michal Dubicki tends to take the shortest route between point A and point B, which is a straight line. But if anybody's got the power to do it, it's that man from Poland on stand A, Michal Dubicki.
Yeah, sometimes the faster skater is not necessarily the stronger one, but the more technical. So let's see how that bodes for Ben Cumberland as we get ready to drop it. Here we go.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good start from Ben, but a really short front.
Michael Dubicki throwing in some huge blows there as he moves. Oh, Ben goes down on the way around, stepping on a piece of the chipped off wood, and that's going to cause him problems, but he's not giving up. He's looking good. Anyways, he did it anyway. Unbelievable effort by Ben Cumberland as he fell flat on his face coming around that block and still managed to cut to 16:24. That's the fastest time so far today. Oh my goodness.
Ben Cumberland up there cutting with his good friend Murphy in his law.
Oh my
as
God.
He has a couple miss hit on his second hit. A short front. I think he opened up about 6 inches on the front of that log, taking the Michael Dubicki approach.
Holy smokes, folks.
And then he goes around, steps on a chip, goes down, gets up, still puts himself in first place.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
And that is a personal best for Ben Cumberland. He did have a 29.6 as his personal best previous to today, and they've just readjusted. It's a 15.96 for Ben Cumberland. So, wow, that was impressive. All things considered, without him falling flat down, he might have even been around 12.
And he actually hits about 5 inches low nearly, but he adjusts. He puts in his 8-hit front here, picking up the wood. But you see him going around, he's actually going to step on a chip here, and he's going to go say hello to the ground, but he keeps that axe away.
Yeah, good job.
The axe is okay, which is what we were all worried about.
Of course.
As he goes around, but, whew, you know, to have the composure to get back up, get back into it, and finish that off the way that he did, amazing. That's why he is up here on this stage right now representing Canada. I don't think any of us in Canada could have gone up and finished it the way that Ben did.
And he just asked his axe, are you okay? Unbelievable. I mean, that right there is that never say die attitude that you have to love that these guys have. And again, we're going to take a heat analysis with Super Dave Jewett.
So we're going to compare Canada to Sweden now, Dave. Let's find out when it was possible.
Very small on the right-hand side. Ben Cumberland with the hit speed almost too fast. That's why he missed that first hit. Now that chip that just came off, that was a big split out of the curve. It caused the chip was great.
That is still just one of the most impressive things I've seen in competition in a few years. I think that's the first time I've seen an athlete absolutely go for a full yard sale and get back up and win with a bullet. Unbelievable. All right, going back to it now. Shane Jordan from New Zealand. Oh, excuse me, Christoph Geisler and Cassidy Shear. Again, jumping the gun here. Shifting my pages around, and Cassidy Shear with that crazy grin of his up on stage. Let's see how he does in this particular event.
Now, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Cassidy takes the approach consistent with his haircut. You know, I believe we called it the mullet cut. You know, you do the business in the front, putting a few more hits in the front so you can go around the back and party. You know, we've seen that approach before with a few more hits in the front so they can go around and the block comes off nice and easy.
In German, they called it a Fokuhila. Vorne kurz, hinten lang. Short in the front, back long.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Christoph Geisler also very strong in this event. Depends on the technique that he's going to use. Is he going to go for the short front side? No, both of them going around to the other side at the same time. Cassidy Shear, big slab just came off of his block there.
And he gets it!
Wow, 15.46. He just beat Ben Cumberland by a couple hundredths of a second, and he just celebrated right there. Was that a moment of throwing down the gauntlet or what?
He knew what he had to do. You know, we saw both athletes put a 6-hit front in. Cassidy's maybe a little bit deeper, but Cassidy, having broken down all these events, he knew that this wood, if he hit it hard enough, he'd actually get a little bit of the wood to break. So that would give him a little bit of an edge, you know. It's a little bit of wood that you don't have to cut. You can take advantage of that. And going for the drive early paid off for this man.
Christoph Geisler, no slouch, by the way, at 17.83, so he is in fourth place at standing drop, at standing block chop. And by the way, sitting in third place overall in the standings at the moment, so a good solid positioning for him. Ben Cumberland at the moment in the lead with 29 points in the overall standing, with Cassidy Shear and Christoph Geisler respectively in second and third place, both having 26 points.
So we see Captain America here putting in an 8-hit front. A lot of power Cassidy's putting in, taking a little bit of angle off on the top, but what that does is it ensures that he does not stick on those down hits. Christoph Geisler, the professor over here, we've seen him here cutting on this stage for the past, I don't know, at least 10 years.
Minimum.
So he knows what he's doing. Cassidy Shear here maybe should have come up one more in the near, but there's no time for that if you're looking to take home a world title off of either of these big dogs.
Absolutely not, but we still have not seen Braden Meyer or Shane Jordan cut. Both of these guys should be very strong in the next one here. There's some confidence right there.
We call it swagger in the biz.
Swagger it is.
And what you're about to watch here is two of the best standing block cutters in the world go head-to-head. Australia's Braden Meyer taking on New Zealand's Shane Jordan. Both of these men have cut for their home countries in competitions all over the world. They're very familiar with each other, and you're going to see them both attack this block with reckless abandon.
Reckless abandon, that's a good way to look at it. If I had to bet, I would say I'm not going to bet. Shane Jordan's got a best of 16.82 on standing.
And our world record in this event currently is 11.03. We saw that record go down last year by USA's Matt Koger. Yeah. I wouldn't expect to see that record go down now, but you never know. This may be the time lightning strikes here in Prague.
All right, let's see how this Australasian battle goes down between New Zealand and Australia.
Okay, gentlemen, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Keep an eye on these fast hits. Oh, a quick stick by both of these guys. And look at this. They are timed with Shane Jordan from New Zealand will have the bronze medal today. And Australia will defend their dominance in the World Championship in the individual, with Braden Meyer winning the World Championship title after Lawrence O'Toole did it in 2018 in Liverpool. Let's look at this one more time.
I don't know if I've ever seen somebody win a STIHL Timbersports world title with a 41-second hot saw cut before.
Never, ever.
Wow. You want entertainment value? As we're going to get a little bit of a word here with the champion, with Dave Jewett.
He took his time on that. My goodness. The tension just kept going up and up and up. You said there's a minute to do this. He's got all the time in the world, but then 2 stalls. What the hell happened there? Unbelievable. As he resets that start cord one more time here, finally gets that saw going, and then he got to the bottom here, double clutched it to rev it up to get those rotations going, and brought it back to the top.
And he even had a bit of a bog on the upcut. I'd say he had just about every muscle in his body clenched at that moment.
Every muscle, including every orifice. Unbelievable. And right now, he's down with Super Dave Jewett. We're going to hear from your new world champion shortly. One more look at the individual world championship 2019 results. Unbelievable. Braden Meyer with 75 points. Ben Cumberland unfortunately drops down to 4th place. Cassidy Shear in his first step into the world championship gets 2nd place, and Shane Jordan will have the bronze medal. And right now we're going to throw it down to Super Dave Jewett, who is with your world champion Braden Meyer from Australia.
All right, Super Dave here. I've got the winner. Not only, we'll talk about your day. This is the first time we've seen you smile all weekend, but I want to tell you the chatter prior to this day. The chatter was, hey, Braden Meyer could possibly win all 3 chops, but he's vulnerable in the stock saw. You won the stock saw. That quieted him down. Then they said you're vulnerable in the single buck. You took 2nd in the single buck, but then trouble in the hot saw, and we say in the hot saw you have to attack, meaning accelerate to avoid conflict. You went too slow into the wood before the throttle was wide open. Tell me what happened from there.
I just tried to stay as calm as I can, and yeah, I don't know, Dave, it was just a big rush, but we got the saw started and here we are. But I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, all my family, my wife, my uncle for letting me have the week off work, all the crew, Still Australia, Movember for all their support, and my old man, this one's for you, mate.
You know, you avoided trouble, you made a perfect single butt cut, and you just told me, which we didn't realize, in the springboard, when you threw your axe up, you actually hit the nail that holds the block into the top. You broke your axe. Again, like the hot saw, you stayed calm.
Yeah, I think that's one of my traits. I can stay calm under pressure and just try and do the best I can with what I've got. And yeah, I'm speechless, Dave.
Well, there you go. I'm gonna bring it home for you, buddy. 4 events he took first place in out of 6. I'm gonna let you celebrate and get out of your way. There you go from Australia, Braden Meyer.
Well now. Braden Meyer with a fantastic result at the end of the day. Amazing. I mean, you know, 4 events out of 6.
As you see him celebrating there with his Team Australia teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. And he deserves that celebration big time. So there we have a look at our audience here at the Industrial Palace in Prague, Czech Republic. 3,000 people strong. This place has been sold out for 2 months in advance of this event, and everybody was excited to be here. And we know that the Czech Republic has exploded as far as STIHL Timbersports is concerned in the last years. Mostly due to Martin Komarek. It's his fault. He's standing up here with us right now. I mean, Martin Roussel did a great job today. Absolutely fantastic. Martin Komarek, what's your opinion of how this day went down? You're with us up here in the box. Tell us how you feel about this whole thing today in your home country.
It's amazing. It was an amazing competition yesterday, today, so I am very excited. But I was waiting. It will be so good atmosphere because the people know the sport and they are waiting so many years to come. So I'm very appreciated that, and I'm very happy. Excuse me my talking because yesterday I was screaming and it was full of emotion.
Fantastic. Martin Komarek, the godfather of STIHL Timbersports here in the Czech Republic. And now we're going to go down onto the main stage for our awards ceremony. And what an amazing event we have had here in Prague, with the potential to come back and do it many more times in the future, one would hope.
Belgium.
We're going to bring all the athletes up onto the stage now. Koen Martens coming out along with Elgin Pugh. Koen Martens from Belgium, Elgin Pugh representing Great Britain, Pierre Puyballet representing France, Danny Marr from Germany, Martin Roussel, who had huge support from the audience here from the Czech Republic, then Ferry Swan from Sweden, who only made a small mistake during his during his earlier section. Then we've got Mikko Dubacki, who was very fast in the hot saw, but had to struggle a little bit earlier on, who was challenging all day long. Then Christoph Geisler, the legend, the veteran, and our top 3 athletes, Shane Jordan, Cassidy Shear, and Braden Meyer. And we will celebrate now a brand new world champion, and also the first time ever for our new world champion to be from, it's the second time he's been in the individual contest, but the first time he's going to take the world championship title. And it's also the first time ever for a new competitor in this arena, Cassidy Shear, who I think next year is going to be one of the guys that everybody's going to be looking at to take it down. And let's not forget Ben Cumberland. But third place the bronze medal goes to Shane Jordan from New Zealand.
And for Shane Jordan to pull a bronze out with the blocks that he drew, amazing. You know, he had a tough day all the way through, but that just shows the grit and determination of these Kiwi New Zealand competitors. You know, he just kept his nose down and kept driving, and he was able to get enough points to pop up into that bronze medal position. You know, it's not the result that he wanted, but he should be extremely, extremely proud of how he represented Stratford, New Zealand, and his country.
Sarah Gaveat, Marketing Director of Steel International, presenting him the bronze medal. And then his first time ever after 2 years competing in the USA, Cassidy Shear taking down the silver medal. He'll be presented.
And there you have it.
The silver medal by Jiří Rumplik from the Managing Director of Steel Czech Republic. And that is a big honor and a big statement by the United States with Cassidy Shear
100%.
Being fantastic, absolutely amazing.
The first time we've seen a yo-ho up on there on that stage. Amazing. One of the best athletes in this sport I've ever laid my eyes on.
And our new world champion, absolutely fantastic. He's been solid all day long today. Braden Meyer.
He's got the mo, and apparently he was ready to go, Troy.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
He will be presented the gold medal by Jan Kadubic, Managing Director of Liebherr, Czech Republic.
The gold medal is awarded by Valdemar Matuszka.
A fantastic day for Braden Meyer. I do believe he was the junior world champion a few years ago, and he came onto the stage and absolutely dominated. Correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't matter at this point. He is your new Steel Timber Sports world champion in the individual event, and that's all that matters for him today.
You know, that really completes it for Braden Myers. Years ago in St. Johann, he was our Champions Trophy champion. And now we can add it to the trophy case as we see that trophy making its way to the stage.
And now the executive board member of Steel, Norbert Pick, comes out to present the Steel Timber Sports World Championship trophy to Braden Meyer from Australia. And look at that reaction. Absolutely appropriate. And that is a perfect day for Braden Meyer.
To overcome adversity like he did in that hot saw race.
Oh my goodness, I was sweating bullets for him on that one.
The composure it takes to pull that off. As I believe everybody is about to rise as we hear the national anthem of Braden Meyer's home country of Australia. To open his bottle.
There you go.
You're darn right. He knows what to do.
Professional timber sportler and a professional drinker right there.
But also as experienced sportsmen, we know not to waste all that champagne on just spraying it around a nice stage. So, you know, a well-deserved toast and a drink for all these athletes. The best 12 athletes in the world that Timber Sports has to offer. You got to witness them here today. We saw one of the most thrilling and compelling, but also dominant performances in recent history. I was very happy that I was here to witness this. You see our three winners up on stage.
I'm going to predict next year in Gothenburg, Sweden, that we're going to see Cassidy Shear on top of that podium.
You're calling it.
I'm calling it right now because he was fantastic today. Although 2 years in a row, Australia takes the team championship. and the single or the individual championship down. They are the Dynasty Nation at this moment in time, and they have been battling. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed our STIHL Timbersports World Championship from Prague in the Czech Republic and at the Industrial Palace, an amazing venue. We thank everybody here in the Czech Republic for their fantastic support. I thank none other than Sterling Hart for being right next to me and keeping me in line for this event here. Thanks, everybody. I'm Troy Mannering signing off from the Czech Republic. We are done and dusted for the day. Take it easy, and we'll see you next time around in Gothenburg, Sweden.